I ran into a girl I dated in grade 8, and I barely recognized her. By NovaRasta. I couldn't believe who I was looking at. It was Amelia Mitchell, the sweet strawberry blonde girl I dated in grade 8, almost 8 years ago. I saw her standing alone, sucking on a cigarette by the entrance of the mall as I was about to leave. She was back in my city. She switched schools after grade 8, and I never saw her again. So this was the first time I was seeing her in 7 years. I almost didn't even recognize her. Her clothes were all dark gray, contrasting the pink and purple she'd always wear when we were 13. Her hair was now dyed jet black, and she wore no makeup. Not even the shimmery peach blush she used to wear every day. However, one thing remained the same. Her emerald eyes. I couldn't forget them even if I tried, though they were now sunken into the pits of her skull. That's how I knew it was her. But she didn't seem to be the person she once was anymore. Retrospectively, I considered her to be my first love. She was the first girl I ever dated, kissed, and French kissed. It was a big deal back then. I remember how attached we were to each other, almost inseparable, and how everyone around us could see it. I was the shy, nerdy guy, and she was the pretty, preppy, rich girl. So you could say our bond was like that between two intangible magnets. I remember how absolutely torn apart I felt when she left for Vancouver. She was supposedly moving with her parents to Fort McMurray, a small but very wealthy oil town in northern Alberta, Canada, as her dad had been transferred there for work. Once meaning so much to me, I couldn't resist greeting her. "Hey, Amelia?" I slowly approached. "Do I know?" Her jaw dropped. "Lucas?" she said, her voice slow and monotonous. I could tell she was on something. "Yeah." I was excited, but I tried to conceal my sheer joy. "Wow, I never thought I'd see you again. Are you back to live in Vancouver?" I left Fort Mac after I turned 18. My parents told me to get a job there or continue school, but fuck that. I've been drifting around doing my own thing ever since. Came back to Van City just to see how things are now. It's so odd seeing people from your childhood become completely different people. It reminds you of the inevitability of time. I almost didn't even want to believe how much of the light that once radiated so fiercely from her had dimmed. She was friendly, but just not the same. To be honest, I didn't even realize it was you. You seem so different. Yeah, I guess I just have a different appreciation for life now. You don't know your true self as a teenager, let alone what you're meant to become. You live, you grow, you change. What about you, though? How have you been? Probably a rocket scientist or some shit right now, right? She smirked. I'm in my 3rd year of biological sciences, but I still know how to have fun. You wouldn't know fun if it hit you square in the head. She seemed much more crass than she used to be, but I went along with it. I loved her when we were 13, but now she fascinated me in ways I couldn't fathom. I wanted to know more about her and why she was the way she was. "Oh yeah? Why don't you show me then?" I teased. I could sense remnants of our once fruitful connection in the air around us. "Are you sure? We could go back to my buddy's place I'm staying at, smoke a few. Please tell me, having grown up in Vancouver, you've at least tried weed." Her voice still sounded mechanical. "Okay," I laughed. "I'm a nerd, but not a prude. I only do it sometimes after finals, but sure, I just finished buying some new socks, and I don't have anywhere else to be." Following that, we took the SkyTrain to the place she was crashing at. It was her friend Edgar's, she said. I walked into the musty, cramped little apartment and took a seat on the grubby, battered mattress that I'm assuming was used as a couch. She swiftly and effortlessly rolled 3 joints. Though she looked drastically different, she was still as beautiful as ever to me. We sparked one up, and I tried getting more information out of her. I exhaled smoke. Fort Mac, though, how was that? It was then she described life in Fort McMurray, and subsequently the type of people she'd gotten involved with while she was there. Alberta, although entering a slight recession now, was like the crown economic jewel of Canada because of their booming oil industry, with Fort McMurray at the center of the hype. Thus, there was a high demand for hard labor workers that were given exceptionally good pay. Many would work 6 to 10 months straight at a time, make a load of money, go back to their native cities during the summer, just blow it all on partying, repeat. Most labor workers were young 20-somethings from the bigger and busier cities like Calgary or Edmonton, there to make easy dough. But life in Fort McMurray was apparently very isolated. It's a remote town that experiences grueling, bone-chilling winters, and everyone there was to grind and work. Many workers would go into bouts of depression and start looking for escapes and drugs to numb their inescapable emptiness. Amelia told me she'd befriended many of these dazed workers at her engineer father's factory. Quickly, she developed into the malignant worlds of heroin and Oxycontin. At one point, she admitted, she was popping about 5 pills a day and cut her arm falling on the ice one day. Dark green blood trickled out. She told me all of this in a completely casual tone. Maybe it was just a combination of Fort McMurray's secluded and gloomy atmosphere and her relations with the addicts that slowly melted her spirits. Maybe that was, for lack of a better word, why she was lost. But I'm off oxys and the smack now. 6 months clean, in fact. On to better things. You said you know how to have fun, right? Ever heard of Sugar Dash? Can't say I have. What is it? Hold on. She went into one of the rooms and reemerged with a bag full of luminescent white powder. It was too shiny to be cocaine. This is Sugar Dash. She held up the bag. It tastes like sugar, but the effects are... You have to try it for yourself and you'll know. It's perfect for someone like you. Like me? I looked at her skeptically. Weed and alcohol were my limit. I have never done anything stronger, and I wasn't planning to. Especially considered I'd never heard of it before, plus I was already pretty baked. Relax, Lucas. It's sweet, like sugar. You just let some melt on your tongue, and you swallow. The effects are like DMT, but shorter. It's like a 30-second trip. You'll thank me later, trust me. This is the reason I even asked you to bring me here. DMT, for anyone who doesn't know, is a powerful hallucinogenic and an ancient medicine used by Indian and South American shamans to cure mental illnesses, like depression and schizophrenia. If harnessed properly, it's apparently life-changing, and some people even claim to meet extraterrestrial spirits and entities during their trips that supposedly help guide them to the cores of their souls. I've always kept an open mind, but I wasn't sure I was up to trying something as intense as DMT. But having told that the trip was only 30 seconds, and the feeling of Amelia's presence comforted and encouraged me to try it. You wouldn't let me die, would you? I asked, reassuringly. Don't be crazy. Sit back, hold out your tongue. She generously sprinkled about a tablespoon's worth of Sugar Dash onto my tongue. It tasted similar to Splenda, and it was the most effortless drug I'd ever consumed. I felt the tiny crystals liquefy onto my tongue. One by one I welcomed them. I laid flat on the mattress and slowly closed my eyes, and mentally prepared myself to let it hit me. This is the best attempt at describing the feeling of it, though there is no combination of words I can use to explicit it exactly. At first, it felt like a typical out-of-body experience. I was looking from a bird's-eye view, and I could see myself laying on the mattress, Amelia's sharp gaze fixed upon me. I ascended higher and higher, drifting into oblivion. My view started becoming more obscured by green and yellow-tinged supersonic ripples that grew larger and larger, oscillating wildly. It was as if I was a singularity, staring into a single point in the immeasurable hologram that was the world before me. Time meaningless, almost non-existent. I had no body. I was a thought, immaterial, infinite. Slowly, my vision melted into black, and a single white dot appeared at the center. I began traveling towards the dot. It's not like I was voluntarily moving towards it, but it's not like I was being forced to either. I was just moving with the flow of my ever-changing perception, peacefully. The white dot became bigger and bigger, like I was entering it. It was as if I was burrowing into another dimension, another universe. Soon, the blackness was gone, and my entire view was white. It was completely empty, devoid of anything. There was no ground, sky, landscape, just boundless whiteness. That's when I saw it getting closer. It started as a tiny gray dot, then more clearly it revealed as a lanky, entirely black figure with 2 arms and 2 legs, a white face that blended into the white background. As it loomed closer, I could make out that it had 2 black holes in the place of eyes. The rest of its face was smooth, lacking any facial features. I remember thinking perhaps it was my spirit guide here to teach me, and teach me it would. The figure perpetually hovered closer and closer. "Hey!" I spoke out. It didn't respond. "Hey, stop!" I called out again. "Who are you?" It wouldn't halt. Once seeming minuscule, it was now massive, appearing larger as it came near. I wasn't scared though, but I wasn't happy or sad either. I just wanted more than to know what it was and what it had in store for me. It now appeared to be looking directly at me, its thin arms idly laying by its sides. "Come," it whispered in a voice that wasn't male nor female, through lips that didn't exist. Suddenly, it stood still. It moved its head forward towards me. Its dark, endless eyes dilated. "Slowly, slowly," it whispered. Its whispers continued to resonate. All I remembered was the feeling of being sucked into them, the first 2 distinguishable circles, that then merged into one dark void as I went closer. I sunk into them, the way a calm river gushes into a drain, knowing they had just run beneath the sun for the last time. I re-emerged from the trip back into reality, and I was back into the apartment. I looked down at my watch to see exactly 30 seconds had passed, but I knew. I finally knew. "Welcome back," Amelia said softly. She knew that I knew. I sat up and said nothing back. It wasn't Oxycontin, or heroin, or even Fort McCurry that made Amelia this way. It was something she lost there. Something that went missing from my being that day, too. It wasn't my ego, or pride, or anything remotely conceivable. Something had been plucked from between the threads of my existence. Something I knew that Amelia was missing, too. I looked in a small mirror sitting by the old mattress. My eyes looked like Amelia's, even though hers were green and mine were brown. The flecks of gold that once merrily paraded between my every blink were all but gone. They were now just 2 chestnut abysses. I think Sugar Dash cured me that day. All my fears and anxieties vacated my body in that moment. I penetrated those depthless eyes. I don't think I escaped them ever since. I don't think I can. I don't think I want to. But my purpose and understanding of the world was clear. Pass me some Sugar Dash before I leave. I know a friend that needs to try some. She got up and prepared a small bagful for me, and with that, I left.